So all of that was hit. So that kind of demonstrates the craziness of it. Simon, I feel a bit bad because I messaged you and I said, "Oh, you were right," because I thought like, okay, there's a ceasefire, there's a two-state solution. Simon was right, but now that I've actually read the article properly and we broke it down in the space, it's probably the opposite. I mean, this is probably one of the worst things to happen to the Palestinians in a long time, and for the Israelis is one of the most beneficial things. But go ahead, Simon. What's your thoughts?
I haven't actually. I've just been at work, so can we do another breakdown, or did I miss the breakdown?
No, of course, for you, Simon, I will do another
Okay.
breakdown. Let me go through it. So, and I think it's important because actually there is a what we've got like an extra 2,000 people who've joined, 1,700. So, Trump and Netanyahu agreed to a deal, and the deal included 5 key conditions. Those were this: the Gaza hostilities conclude within 2 weeks. The ending conditions will encompass the 4 Arab nations, which includes Egypt and the UAE, to control the Gaza Strip, replacing Hamas. The remaining Hamas leadership will be exiled to other countries while the hostages are free. Multiple nations globally will accept numerous Gaza inhabitants seeking emigration.
to get our son out of the
So
Duat.
those who were removed, the Palestinians
Can we
removed
set
from
peace?
Gaza will go to these other countries.
May you
The
walk in
Abraham
the
Accord
field of
expansions will
reeds.
bring Syria, Saudi Arabia,
I head
and
to Rome
additional
too.
Arab and Muslim countries
Rome?
to recognize Israel and establish
You
official
still entertain fully with these
relationships.
ambitions?
Israel will
I have
declare
made
its
mistakes.
willingness for
You
future
have made
Palestinian
mistakes.
conflict resolution under the two-state concept,
You waste your
contingent
energy.
upon Palestinian Authority reforms. And the US will
You are the famous
acknowledge
Magi.
limited Israeli
Thanos never ceases to
sovereignty
speak of your
over the
exploits.
West Bank.
I
So
have assembled a group.
Israel has
This is
control of the
Brutus
West Bank.
and Cassius,
The
our
Arab
Roman
nations have
brothers.
control of Gaza.
We're going to cut
And
these bastards
Palestinians,
down from across the
it
seas.
doesn't say what proportion
Septimius!
will be emigrating out of
Caesar.
Palestine.
The order is no longer an Egyptian problem only.
Okay. And
Cleopatra still
what's
rule?
the construct
There
of that?
is
Is
no
that
ruler
just
in
Trump and
Egypt.
Netanyahu who
Plunged
have
into
said
the
it
will
was
of various
Hamas?
tyrants.
No, this is just
queen
Trump and
has
Netanyahu. We
abandoned us
initially thought it was an
for
agreement with Hamas, but once we broke it
Nothing
down,
has
it's actually
changed.
just Trump and
Memphis is
Netanyahu.
overrun by the order.
Okay. So it sounds
We
like
need-
they're just publicly declaring the worst case scenario, and there's
And
more
it
to
seems
come.
like, sorry, just to add to that, and the Arab nations, it seems like, because it seems like they're all involved. And
Yeah,
Syria.
yeah. So my initial thoughts would be this is like putting out the worst deal initially, and they seem to be doing a
cannot end
public
it like this.
negotiation.
That
And then
cursed
I
Mark sphere
imagine
should stay
that
hidden
Hamas are
forever.
going to be pushing back on this, and
Caused
we're
so
going to
much
be.
pain.
I think this is the start of a bit of a theater, another theater. And then we're going to actually find out what the real solution is going to be in the end. But I think this is Trump and Netanyahu showing like the worst deal possible. I doubt this is the end deal, but it sounds awful. it's horrible. But the ethnic cleansing, that is voluntary, right? That's not they all have to leave. That's if people want to leave, there's multiple jurisdictions
It
that would
doesn't
take.
say. It doesn't say, Simon. It doesn't say. So.
Doesn't say, no.
So I mean, if you had to ask me my opinion, I think they'll might try and put some kind of quota in. They'll try and remove a number of them. Remember, his goal was always to ethnically cleanse them, and I think this is remove them. Remember, the plan was initially Egypt, and it seems like this is the parameters by which you can get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So my initial thoughts, again, just analyzing in real time, is that they've just put something out there, but I don't think this is the end yet. I think there's a lot more to come. I don't think this is a done deal by any stretch. But yeah, I guess it's I think it's a start. Yeah, let's see what everyone else. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think
Simon,
this is?
Yeah,
do you know what?
I thought that. I mentioned my thoughts. I just thought that this is like, it's much more of a worse deal than Witkoff, than the Witkoff Hamas deal that was agreed previously, and even the
Our victories
Witkoff
have
Israel
multiplied.
deal was that they
Our bond not
changed.
so.
It's worse than that. I
We
think
could
there's
never
no
have
scenario where they can agree to this.
Everything has
Hamas
told us how love
have
is impossible.
demonstrated in the previous agreement
You're right.
between Witkoff that
Something
they were
bigger
willing
has
to have a
called us.
ceasefire.
But
I mean,
our
they were
love
willing
lives
to
in the
relinquish
Duat.
control, so that was never the issue. But
Only
to
now
have
we are
any
letting
form
go.
of deal
Let
where
the gods
Gaza, where the
decide.
Palestinians are ethnically cleansed, that's like saying
The
to
gods are
Americans, guess
dead.
what? You can have your own land, but we're gonna remove all Americans, and the
We must
small
sacrifice
proportion
our
that are
personal
left,
lives for the
we're gonna
greater
give the
good.
east coast to be
All this
controlled
darkness was
by
for a reason.
Mexico, and
I
we'll
was
give the
wrong to
west
be so
coast to be
reckless in
controlled
public
by
without killing.
Canada. But guess what?
We must work in the
It's a two-state
shadows.
solution. Like, it's just ridiculous. But go ahead, Simon.
Egypt
Sorry,
is
Cleese, you were
fallen.
going
Yeah,
to
so
say Simon.
I'd
Greece
imagine.
Yeah,
also.
I was just going to jump in, Simon.
And Rome
Just, Simon, I don't know if
will
you can hear me. I
fall
just want to
too.
respond to you really quickly, and then
All
Mike
will
right
fall
back
to
to
the
you.
greed, yet
But when
no
you're
one will
saying
know.
it's a public
When we
negotiation,
assassinate,
okay,
we
that gives
assassinate
me a
only
little
those
bit
who
of
deserve
hope,
it.
okay, that this is
We
their
feed
bottom
sick
basic
souls
line
who
to
try to
start with,
control us.
and they've got something more to give to the Palestinians. Because
But they will never know who
that
we are.
comment that you made, I mean, would they
Cold,
be forced to
calculated,
leave or would they be
poets of
allowed
the
to
kill.
stay? At the end of the day, they
I am
have
fine
shed
with
blood
this.
for this land, right? Like, not just since October the 7th, but for
I am
decades
not a
before
father
that.
anymore.
Their children have
I am
died.
not a
They've been
husband.
ethnically cleansed.
I am not a
And now
magi.
Trump, an American president, comes in
I
and
am
says,
a
I'm
heathen
saving
one.
Netanyahu, and Saudi Arabia is
Yes.
going to be in charge of Gaza.
We are
Just
the
imagine who would
hypocrites.
want to stay there. Where would they
Sharpen
go?
our
They leave them
blades.
no option.
Pull what
Stay with
rope is
Saudi
left
Arabia,
from
and
this
Saudi
foul
Arabia
earth.
runs this land. I mean, it's not really an option.
What?
Do you know what I mean? It is
I
ethnic
agree.
cleansing under a different name. But Simon, back to you.
What are you of?
Yeah,
This deal
so,
is garbage.
yes,
Our
I
no
nation
creed.
is a mess.
I guess
How
it's
is this
yeah,
finished?
mostly in a second. I imagine until Hamas has agreed with them, Hamas is going to resist. So the deal is only the deal once Hamas says this is the deal, and even then we'll be worried about shenanigans. But I do believe that this is the starting process of something, and so now I guess they put it out there. And then I guess we're just all waiting. We're probably going to get a statement from Hamas.
But Simon,
while
there
we're
are
on
so
the
many other factors. What are you going to do about the Palestinians in Lebanon, for example? Because I'm going to tell you about Lebanon stand. Very clear. It's the Palestinians,
Those don't need to
the
be your last
Saudis, the
words.
Emirati, the whole universe
Does the name
recognize
William
Israel.
Miles ring a bell?
We are not going to
Assassin?
recognize it. This
You
is
know who
it's
I am.
final. This without even there is no negotiation about this.
The assassins.
Yeah, so
So what
I
are we gonna
imagine
do?
that's
It's
probably Lebanon's
unusual for an
role and
obstacle
other
employed
players'
to take
role
an
to come in
interest
and
in a
say, but we
country's
need
revolution.
recognition of
Not wrong
Palestine,
there.
and then Hamas are going to say, we don't agree to this. This is like
We
I
know
think we're
about your
in
work
that
with the
whole
Animus.
everybody putting their path
Astounding
forward
what you and
now
Deanna were up to.
stage, and maybe it's a
D.
yeah.
No,
played
brother.
you,
There are
didn't they?
there are approximately
Sophia
1 million
Ricken made you so
Palestinians in
many
Lebanon. What are you
promises.
going to do?
Enough.
with
This
them?
is a bad
The right
start,
to
talking
Simon.
return
about
ones.
Like
Huh?
Simon, this is a bad start,
Plenty of
Simon.
other
That's the
subjects to
problem.
cover on our
You're saying,
ride to
like, this is a
Alexandria.
start, but it's a terrible
Don't assume
start.
I'm
It's
going
a very
anywhere
bad
with you.
start. And
Well,
Ibrahim, he's just touching the
let's look at
surface
your options.
of everything. Like literally, the
You
two
can come
things
with
that he
me.
just mentioned is like
It's
probably
not even a
Stay
300
start,
here
it's a
and do the
digression of the
dance of
previous
death again and again until you make a mistake.
ceasefire agreement.
Yeah, and this is what
They only need you to make
happens
one.
with lawyers. Like if anyone's ever hired a lawyer like to do this,
There's no going
they
back
put
to
out
your
the
old life,
absolute
Leva.
worst, so
I
it
never
sounds
planned to.
absolutely awful, so
But
that when
you'd
you
finally be
claw
able
it
to
back
work on the
to
Animus
something
project.
that
Our version of it.
you end
And
up
with us,
whatever you
you'd
always
always have
put
the
your
freedom to do
worst
things
deal
your
out there
way.
in order to claw it back to something else.
But
That's
Simon,
just
this
very
deal's
typical.
worse than the agreed deal, the previous agreed
Fine.
deal.
That's what I mean.
Let's do
You
this.
put out the worst,
That doesn't
and
mean
then
I'm on your side.
and then we see what comes
Good
next.
enough.
But it could also be a tactic, because this could be an escalatory, moment. This certainly isn't the ceasefire moment.
Escalatory
There's more
against
to
who?
come.
Escalatory against who? Iran?
Whereas in they get Hamas to say absolutely unacceptable, and then they say, see, Hamas doesn't want. We could be going through all that drama again.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of bullcrap. They're doing this to deflect the fact that Trump has failed. They took a huge L with Iran.
Is that what
now
Foxy
not
does?
having to
A
report
gift?
to the IEAE,
No.
which was, I think, the biggest thing.
It's a
I don't know if
relic.
I said that. I couldn't remember
I don't want
correctly,
to talk about
you
it
know,
in
that was the
Mastis.
biggest thing America
Isn't that
probably got
biased?
with that deal with Iran.
Let
and
me
now
have it.
that's
I'll give it
gone
to Foxy
with
does
the win,
myself.
thanks to Israel.
He loves
so
these
you know,
things.
this is a bad deal. I don't think anybody's gonna agree with it. It's not gonna work out. Donald Trump so far has failed. Just like the Ukrainian deal, he's failed.
How about
With the
that?
Palestinian deal, he's gonna
I'm in
fail.
no mood for compromise
especially if this
today.
is how they're coming forth about it. After 2 years of genocide, this little tactic, I agree with Simon. I do think this is a tactic, though. Absolute tactic with what they're doing here to keep digressing and making it worse and worse. So that they do hope that when they do call back, that there is an agreement right away, which I think is actually going to fail. It's actually going to hurt Israel in a massive way. But let the genociders do what they want to do.
Mofet, what's the capital of the Palestinian state? Jerusalem?
You are a chosen one.
East Jerusalem?
And now you are
where
free.
the wall is?
Like me.
Are they gonna let go of the wall?
So begins a new day.
So many obstacles.
Exactly. It's just far too many. And the fact that they're not even addressing this and their fake ceasefire deal and their fake two-state solution deal, it goes to show that they don't have no integrity. They lack integrity. They lack the empathy. They lack the actual understanding that most humans have. They don't come to the table to try to come to an agreement. They come to a table to try to finesse you, to try to see how they could scam you, to try to see the loopholes, where the loopholes are, that they could get right past you and then come back in the future and try to screw you over on it. There's no doing deals. There's no doing negotiations. This is genocidal Zionist. That's why I wish Iran never did a ceasefire with them, because they're going to probably regret doing that too. Honestly, this genocidal entity is a worldwide threat to all of us. The way that we see them burning kids alive and killing women and children and shooting kids in the head, this is a worldwide threat. This is something that we can never go back to. We can
Don't
never just
drop
go
your
about
guard
our daily
entirely.
lives again.
You should assume they are
until this
expecting
genocidal
us.
entity is handled correctly.
You
There
sound
can't be no
thrilled
scam
about
deal done by
Eager,
Trump, who's on the
old
Epstein
man.
files.
Eager to be
He
done with
needs to
this
solve
scam
what's going
and
on
move
at
on
home.
to the next violent
Which in
scam.
America, there's a lot of things going on right now. We're being scammed to the most highest of orders. The inflation and the interest rates are skyrocketing. We're seeing all the bad things going on. Homeless. When the President Z had to visit, we saw Gavin Newsom hide all the homeless people. That's how bad the homeless issue has become here in America. So there's a lot of things to deal with at home. And, this issue. The issue is genocide Trump is controlled by Israel. This deal is
We have been
back
spotted!
and forth, like what was said
Those
earlier,
flares will summon their
so
navy.
that they could keep pointing the
Prepare
fingers. That's
yourselves!
what this is coming off as. Like they want to keep pointing the fingers. It's the Palestinians' fault. They don't want to agree to the ceasefire and two-state solution agreed, but they don't ever want to. They don't ever
Here
want to
they
tell
come.
the whole world wide that nobody wants to agree with it because it's a garbage
Forward,
deal.
men!
This deal
Literally
is
see with their
disastrous.
shattered
What they just
hulls.
wrote out here. We call these sunset mission deals too. Donald Trump sunset mission deals too. I think he's probably just waited his whole life off leeching off the central bankers and being a good puppet agent, collecting a commission off the scams that he's put people through. So this is what's starting to show come to reality. It's all going to be bad for America, just like what we saw Iran do. Even though I think the deal was even worse for America because a lot of what Obama did, and I don't like Obama at all. I think
Pick up the pace!
The one thing that is good about this administration is that deal they moved on, and now that's in the trash bag. So it's literally Israel itself and America.
The songs they will sing about us when this day is out.
If that happens, Foxy does, I will wear seaweed like a siren and sing them myself.
But Sulaiman
I do also
Netanyahu is
think
really in trouble.
this is probably going to lead to
You will
some
be
kind
sorry.
of
Now let's end this.
civil unrest situation and removal of cabinet.
Oh, sorry, man. Are you at least willing to admit that no one's given up on Friday? Get wrong. I think it's the big nations and they're going back and forth like they're equal parties to the table. This is a unilateral agreement to
Sorry, guys,
British
is that Truth speaking? Because I can't see him and it's really it is you. Okay, I can't see you on the panel. It's really freaking me out. Who was actually mimicking you?
There's only one
I
more
can't
Try not to be
for the
scared. I'm just
abyss.
calling out Simon because he still refuses to concede that no one's given up on Zionism and Trump's fulfilling his promises to his donors. Everyone knew he was going to do, like Mary Medelson, to basically fully annex the West Bank, for instance, and it looks like Gaza's there too. And they've got
They
the
set
Gulf
fire
states,
ships
more
upon
states,
us!
to also agree to the Abraham Accords,
Gods.
which once again is doubling down on Zionism and the Greater Israel
Our
Project.
fleet is too
So you're
tightly
just dead
formed.
wrong.
They'll hit us.
You had this
We are
pipe dream that
overwhelmed.
they were just going to give
The
up on
airships
Israel,
are
and
too
then
many.
Israel would just kind of
All
fade
right.
away
All
while
We
right.
must sink them
Palestine was
before they
a
reach
state.
us.
There's no Palestine thing. And this is a negotiation. It's definitive. They've even given it a 2-week timeline. It's time to exile all the Palestinians, all the Hamas, PIJ, PFLP, PFLP, etc. Without any negotiation. So let's just admit.
Okay,
they're
true.
not negotiating. They're not waiting on a response from Hamas. Hey, did you get our telegram? By the way, here's your good. I mean, at some point, you just have to. You don't have to. It's fine. You got to be fine with ego. You're retaining lawyers and lawyers discussing this. The discussions are done. The negotiations are done. They got the Syria already conceded. Qatar's investing $4 billion into Syria right now as we speak, and HTS is getting a $141 million loan from the World Bank. Exactly as I predicted, that Syria will become a balkanized state controlled by the World Bank or IMF, and the Greece would be there to control the territory and carry out the precisely what Trump was about now, and they also eventually join the Abraham Accords and normalize relations with Israel, which strengthens Israel, doesn't weaken it one bit. So it's on you to live in denial and not acknowledge your thoughts, your whole dream is a pipe dream that will never be fulfilled. The only thing that's left is resistance. Resistance, because you just have to keep fighting on and not accept it. Maybe Iran comes back, maybe they don't, or maybe Israel finally wakes up and maybe they don't. But that's the only shot they have, and after a while, I don't know how they're going to respond. Hopefully they keep fighting. That's it. It's military solution. There's no like peaceful agreements or lawyers talking. That's the failed. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's see where it actually goes. So if you think this is the end of the road, Israel and
Let's see what the
America
market
rule the world,
says,
they get everything they want.
Let him answer.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you think this is the end of the road, then you're right. I think we're just getting
I
started.
didn't say it was the end of the road. I didn't say that. I just said your pipe dream was giving up on Zionism was bullshit from the beginning. They were never giving up on Zionism. Look at Trump. He's helping Netanyahu stay in power. You said that Netanyahu is gone and doing it. You changed there too.
Truth.
All your predictions have been proven wrong.
Truth. If you think this is
when Zionist let Simon respond.
If you think this is the end, it's not the end. There is going to absolutely be a regime change within Israel. The cabinet is going to fall. Netanyahu is going to get his negotiated exit. This is not the end.
They just delayed his trial.
Save your bloody ship.
Because Trump's going to help him stay in power. Okay, so there's going to be a regime change, but they're helping him avoid corruption charges and strengthening his bargaining position right now.
Exactly. That's his negotiated exit.
It's just smoke and mirrors, right? Don't believe your eyes.
What did they use?
All right.
But it also says Simon.
When Trump says something, that's it. Done. Then you're dumber than I thought.
I didn't say it's done. I said the dealing is done. Doesn't mean they're able to execute it without any type of resistance. I said the only option for the Palestinians is resistance. And I've always said there's only military solution because they're never going to give you a good deal with negotiations.
Okay, so Truth, if you're so right, why did Iran stop? Why did they accept the ceasefire? I don't think you had predicted that one.
So first of all, they didn't accept the ceasefire. Even Morani will tell you it's not a ceasefire. It's a cessation of hostilities for now. What Iran's focused on is sweeping all the Mossad terrorist cells that are within Iran, and also dealing with the problem in Azerbaijan. Missiles were being launched from there. They're dealing with the problem still from within because Israel is really advanced with Mossad terrorist cells. So they're not done. What Israel is able to do is currently diminish most of the strikes they had were internal. So that's their focus now. It's smart. They'll deal with Israel accordingly. But what does that have to do with this crappy deal that in no way, shape, or form helps Palestine and 100% helps Israel? It completely flies in the face of every prediction you've made, which is they're going to give up on Zionism. It's a bad deal. It's it's all liability.
Okay, Tree. Come back.
Hold on.
Come back when we're done.
There's over $500 billion worth of assets. I'll tell you why it's possible. There's over $500 billion of assets appraised to the natural gas north. I already put down the UN report that's on there in terms of what's appraised. I put it below a separate post that I had that Israel's going to get. They're going to steal it. And that's going to help them. Their ultimate goal is, Gaza 2035 to develop Gaza into like another UAE, a Gulf state. They want to be this Gulf state. That's their objective, and that's what they're leaning towards. The only way to prevent that is a military solution. It's not going to be anything negotiated in the United States. Yes, no, it's a one state under Israel, which completely flies in the face of that bullshit prediction.
My bullshit prediction
just second chance in life, and they'd be
being vassalized for
you thought the Jews would get exonerated for all their crimes, and then rise up. It's all bullshit. Okay, all the Zionist Jews are in favor of this. I think 95% of them.
Proof.
Zionism
This
just
deal
doubled down
is
to
not
this.
what's going to happen. Like, let's just wait. Like, you're jumping. You're so excited.
Yeah, this deal is not going to happen. But that's the
Side
problem. This deal is not going to happen.
Of course, the next stage is
And no
resist.
Palestinian is going to allow it to happen. This is the most ridiculous option ever. By the way, guys, I am talking about he posted this in February last week.
Right. Simon,
Really quick. Right, I think what like me and True Teller mean is like there is like what this ceasefires are and what these negotiations and deals are, and why we don't think there's going to be negotiations and deals is because all it is for Israel is a way of delaying. That's all it is. Like, ceasefire means delay operations in Israeli Zionist terms. So that's why it's very hard to believe, Simon, that there's going to be some kind of negotiation without force having to be met to this Zionist genocidal end.
So
Simon, do
can I
you
just
think Hezbollah or Iran will just Hezbollah and Iran, will they ever recognize Israel?
Let's go!
This is my
Galley
question.
speed!
I'm not sure that that's going to be required. I'm just saying this is the beginning, not the end. We shall
Okay,
see
if
where
it's
this
not
goes.
required, what are they gonna do with the resistance
Up
in
the
Lebanon
pace, brothers!
and the Iranians?
Well, if a deal gets to where it's acceptable to all, then a resistance will integrate with an army. I'm just saying we're not there yet. This is if you're saying Trump just announces a deal and suddenly that's it, that's the deal, and then because the previous thought was that Israel is driving America into World War III, and the America is going to join the war. I was saying that's theatre. I believe it was theatre. And we're getting to a solution whereby Israel will be vassalized into the GCC. And there's going to be a solution. Originally, I thought it because Saudi was insistent on a two-state solution as the conflict evolved.
But why do you call it theater?
What port are you taking us to?
Isn't it like
Because everything that
You're saying
happened.
Israel's getting. Why are you saying they're getting vassalized? They're being strengthened. Their resistance is getting whooped, and they're normalizing relations with four more Arab states. That's helping. You understand? They're not doing this on their terms. They're doing it on Israel's terms. It's a unilateral agreement that only benefits Israel. So it's not vassalized. I don't know why you're still trying to.
We got some more breaking news, guys. I think Khaleesi, if you can play it as well, that'd be golden. But let me just read it out. U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt makes a statement on Gaza. She said the president wants peace. He always has. We see a new era in which perhaps some of the Gulf and Arab states can sign on to the Abraham Accords. Just on that, like just to bring a bit of balance to this space. So there's two things. The first thing is Simon made the prediction that America wouldn't get into a war. We got attacked by it, and he ended up being right. And those people who were claiming it, no one on this panel, but those who were claiming it, they're quiet about that now. So Simon was right about that. Where I think Simon, obviously, it was wrong, and I think this is where we always disagreed with where I disagree with Simon. I actually thought under Trump, America wouldn't join the war, and it would happen in the what's his name again, Obama. Where I think Simon is wrong, obviously, is this one. I just can't see a scenario where, if you look at all of the actions, and if even this one, if this is a starting point, even that goes against what Simon's saying, because the starting point shouldn't be
So Caesar is the king of the order now.
bad in terms of giving Israel complete autonomy over everything and Palestinians having nothing. You have to think more in the middle, and then you get to a situation what Simon was claiming, which was Israel would be weakened, Israel would maybe even be a one-state solution. I mean, it seems like you're right with the one-state solution, but it seems like the state is only going to be Israel, with the other one being run by Saudi. But I think that's where you're wrong. So I think you're right on the first one. I think there's a lot of people who message and attack him and say, oh, Simon, said that we're in World War III, and obviously it never ended up being the case. I think he's wrong on that. But Simon, I'll let you respond.
But technically, America did join too, so like technically he was wrong about that.
I mean, they didn't, bro. It was choreographed. They let Iran know exactly what they were going to do. They let Iran know where they were going to bomb. They told them well in advance that Iran was able to remove everything from the facility. hostility.
I thought you would
Even
Why
today,
Sulaiman?
even Pete Hegseth today stated, even Pete Hegseth was asked a question about Trump being there 2 days early and he lost his mind.
No
at the
Roman
report.
deals will be made.
Sulaiman,
So
did you also
everything was
even remove
removed.
the sanctions?
Sorry?
Sanctions on oil sales to China as well, which helps Iran because now they don't have to take on the oil sales anymore.
Yeah, but that Simon will say that's part of the deal. Simon's gonna say that's part of the solution. You're actually adding Simon's back to that. But the point is, in terms of that, and then the hit back was choreographed. Even Trump was like, yeah, they told me.
But why, Sulaiman? Why?
Well, I believe
there was an equation. Okay, I would love to use it.
Yeah. What was the reason for it? I think what happened was initially America was planning to go to war and was planning to support Israel, and I think Trump is one of the unique people that actually cares a lot about his reputation. He cares a lot about his legacy, and his whole movement was going to be destroyed within his own eyes. Large part of Margaret influences were calling him out. Large part of Margaret was calling him out, telling him because of the fact that they saw him as a warmonger, and that was one of the reasons people voted for him. And so, go ahead.
I just wanted to say one thing. Sometimes in war, I think Iran proved that they can hit any specific point in the right? We can agree on this.
Technically, they did join, but then they just took it
Mofet,
back.
please.
And they didn't like them.
Mofet, just let me explain this one because it's important. It's not fear. We agree that Iran could attack any specific point in the entity. So basically, Qatar is easier. The American bases are easier. The deal, in my opinion, was very easy. Enrich uranium for American soldiers. We get out our enriched uranium, your soldiers stay alive. It's that simple.
Yeah, but then America would have actually killed a lot of them if there was. So
exactly.
So it wouldn't have just because that's not the invasion, right? The invasion is actually Iran would, let's be clear, America went into a direct war with Iran. Yeah, Iran would have attacked them military and they demonstrated how easy it is for them to do that, because remember they warned the Americans that was happening, and even then the missile went through. So never mind, and they told them the time as well. But that being said, when it comes to America, US demonstrated that they could bomb as well. And so what would have happened was, if it was America offensively attacking Iran with Israel, I think that would have, by the way, I don't think America would won, but again, it would have severely harmed Iran, it would have harmed America, and I think it would have harmed Israel a bit less, because then the focus would have shifted away from them when they were getting obliterated badly. So I think there was a lot of complexities to it. But point being that what happened with the America bombing Iran and Iran bombing back, that really was, in my view, was a theater, an off-ramp for America to get out of the situation. So I don't think that was a war. For anyone who says that's a war, so Sam, you want to?
Yeah. So let me. Okay. Let me just set the parameters here of what I think is happening. There is who are the relevant players in this negotiation?
My son's heart.
I believe that
For
this
your
is
life.
the U.S. military-industrial complex that is being retreating and agreeing not to do the forever war model in the Middle East and the neocon strategy in the Middle East anymore. I believe that Israel is simply a colony of that strategy, the neocon strategy, and Netanyahu is a representative of US military companies to serve their
whoring with my brothers.
The only thing that waits for you is oblivion.
The players that
For
they are
your name,
negotiating
your
with
order,
is,
and the rotten corpses of your Cabignani.
And the GCC needs
I
to,
can devour your fetid heart.
needs to get Iran's agreement. And Iran's agreement depends upon an acceptable solution by all regional players and all of the power dynamics to be reached that gets Hamas to agree, and for Iran to stop funding
must be in
the Axis,
with the rest of the
and
Senate.
it either goes in the direction of we get the Greater Israel Project and Israel dominates the region, which I believe is not what's happening, because I believe we're getting a military retreat from America.
This place is crawling with soldiers.
And in the end, I believe a GCC-controlled Israel vassalized into the GCC with an acceptable solution to move forward that Iran agrees to in order to stop supporting the Axis, and that requires what the most acceptable solution for Palestine is. What that exact solution is, we can all speculate, but this either goes in two directions. It either goes in the Greater Israel Project, and Israel rules the world, and it's not a colony of America, and Netanyahu is the most important person in the world, and he's able to control Trump to get whatever he wants. Or we're going to end up with Israel being weaker and the GCC being the important regional player with no American military forever war intervention, and just simply a rebuild with the negotiations between who's going to be involved in that rebuild. We are nowhere near saying that what we just seen announced here is the end outcome. And so we will keep going on this debate, but to say this has been resolved right now, you're wrong. And again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll just go with, okay, Israel does rule the world. Netanyahu is the most important person. We are getting the Greater Israel Project, and the Palestinians are going to be genocided. And we enter into World War III, where China, Russia, and Iran fight the whole world. But I don't think we're going there. And so with that, this is the beginning. And is absolutely how negotiations happen. You put your worst deal out there, and we seem to be entering into a public outrage type of deal that's going to lead to a series of actions, and eventually we're going to get to where this goes. And if it involves more conflict, it involves more conflict. But this is the beginning. I don't think this is the deal.
Thanks, Simon. Guys, no. Truth, just 1 second, please, guys. I'm trying to play the clip in the nest, and then I will just make a couple of points, and I'm going to pass the mic right back to you, Truth.
Just want everyone to know I never use the mute. See, our chicks have to use the mute. It's power crops. So go ahead.
I just had to, literally, there's so much testosterone on this panel, it's impossible. Okay, let me just play this clip really quickly, Truth. I'll give it right back to you. I just want to make a couple of points to what Simon said, and I'll give the mic to you. Okay, guys, listen.
The president wants peace. He always has. And right now, we're on a diplomatic path with Iran. The president and his team, namely Special Envoy Witkoff, continue to be in communication with the Iranians, and especially our Gulf and Arab partners in the region, to come to an agreement with Iran. As for our alliance with the state of Israel and that friendship and that partnership between the United States and the state of Israel, I would argue it has never been stronger. And we see a new era in which perhaps some of these Gulf and Arab states can sign on to the Abraham Accords. That was one of the president's most signature accomplishments in his first term, and he'd like to see more of those countries sign on in this second term. And so we look forward to sustaining a long and durable peace in the region, and the president wants to do that through a diplomatic solution. But as he proved on Saturday night, he's not afraid to use strength if we need to do it. The president wants peace.
1 second, guys. Let me just switch this off. God, that was some other Trump video. So, just on that very quickly, Palestine was not mentioned once. Gaza was not mentioned once throughout that whole clip. It's all about our partners in the Middle East, and our special, warm, loving relationship with Israel has never been stronger. It is absolutely sickening. The second thing I wanted to say really quickly is, this whole ceasefire, it is not a ceasefire. It's nothing. I'm now convinced it is nothing to do with Gaza. It is nothing to do with Palestine. So what they're talking about is return of Israeli hostages. The Hamas leaders will face exile. The Israel occupation of the West Bank, like Suleiman's already said. Ceasefire within 2 weeks. To give 2 weeks to Israel so they can actually just kill as many people as possible. And they will kill day and night if they know a ceasefire is coming. This is Israel's modus operandi. Israel to allow for a two-state solution, right? Consider it. They haven't said anything more than that. And do you know what? This Israel to allow for a two-state solution has been going on for decades, for years and years and years and years and years. Even Keir Starmer says, I think there should be a two-state solution, but he doesn't recognize Palestine as a state. So this is bogus. This is nothing. What this is just to fool the public into not making too much noise about Saudi Arabia normalizing with Israel and Syria. But Syria is a given because Syria is a vassal state now anyway. But it's about Saudi normalizing. It's about trade deals. It's about trade deal for Trump and Trump's massive business empire. That's all it's about. It's nothing to do with Gaza. It's nothing to do with Palestinians. With that, Truth, I pass the mic back to you.
Just before you do some more breaking news, the intelligence report, the Caroline Levitt in the exact same press conference said the intelligence report leak may have come from Congress, according to Caroline Levitt. That's between the nest. But basically, as you know, there was an intelligence report leak that claimed that all of Fordo and various nuclear sites had not been destroyed. And so now they're saying that leak may have come from Congress. But anyway, that's that. Go ahead, Truth.
Sure, thanks.
Do I know you?
Look, another point that Trump also made was that
strikes from the shadows.
not afraid to use
The same
strength.
fate will come
By
to
that
all
he means
despots.
military intervention again when need
In
be.
the end,
So that's not a military withdrawal or
it is
withdrawal of force
impossible
by any means.
not
Again,
to become.
Simon will have you believe
others
that
believe you
they're
are.
supposedly given in. They're not.
And I
This is just
was a
part of their grandiose
There is a new
strategy to
creed
be able to
now.
again achieve greater Israel. The reason why they're going about it this way now, dealing with the low-hanging fruit, it's not to vassalize it at all, to strengthen it, because they will come back to Iran later, but they wanted to fully integrate these other Arab states plus Syria, which makes things more difficult, will make things more difficult for Iran, etc., for the, again, sole purpose of benefiting Israel. And they're also going to keep Netanyahu in power. Unless something happens to this guy, he's not going anywhere. I've always said he's a modern-day Machiavelli. He finds a way to stay in power,
Requiescat in
irrespective
pace.
of the odds stacked against
Caesar.
him, whether it's lawsuits, unpopularity. Apparently his popularity actually went up because of this intervention with Iran. It actually helped, because every time there's a common enemy with Israel, what happens? They end up uniting behind, even the ones that don't like him, they end up uniting behind their leader, essentially.
Do you know what
this is
you've
all
done?
to benefit Netanyahu. So once again, that
Caesarion
flies in
would
the
have sat
face
on the throne of
the
Rome.
argument that somehow they're
Listen to the cries
withdrawing
of the
from the
streets.
Zionism
They call
plan
you a
and they're
dead
giving up
tyrant's
on it.
whore.
They're
I
not
am still your
vassalizing Israel at all.
queen.
They're strengthening
You
it,
are a
and they're going to
queen
enable it
of
to
lies.
steal all the resources, which was their plan before 10/7. By the way, they had to suspend those natural gas
Apollodorus
development
died
deals
for
with
you, for
multiple,
Egypt,
big oil and gas companies that were there.
I am
believe one with
Egypt.
Chevron, one with might have been BP, I think. But the point is now they're going to resume those
Then be the
deals once
ruler our
they
people
fully
deserve.
integrate Gaza, which is again what they
Nothing
want
will
to do
save
is
you
show me
from
they're
my
able to
blade across
achieve
your
it.
throat.
Hasn't happened yet. That much I'll agree. It hasn't
You are the
happened
last
yet,
of the pharaohs.
unless the resistance carries on. So I don't think Iran will give up on that resistance just yet. I don't think there's a sweet, because they're just not going to sell out on principle and morals. They don't care about money for them. I mean, they're going to be fine doing the deals that they're doing with China and Russia, etc. So again, Simon, I just fail to comprehend why you think that Israel gets vassalized. But a vassalized state is Syria, where it's balkanized. You install a stooge leader who's a Mossad agent in Al-Julani, who does as he's told, normalizes with Israel, sells out the Palestinians, starts arresting them, which is what he did with PFLP
Caesar
within
has been
Syria,
assassinated.
and now he's getting a World Bank loan. And
Septimius
he
is
still
also
hasn't
dead.
gone back any of his territory. He's not even getting a piece of
I
his
have
own
founded
oil
a
sales,
bureau in the
wheat
middle
sales,
of
and then
Rome.
he agrees to a pipeline
Yet,
deal with Qatar.
no one knows
invest in a $4
of our
billion. So he's
existence.
going to get a whole bunch of
Like
cash. He's
Amun,
happy. He's sold out.
we are
and
the hidden
he's just
ones.
representing his interests anyway. But you don't see that happening with Iran. They're just given because they don't need IMF, or they're not motivated by an IMF or World Bank loan, or selling out and at all in need of having to normalize with Israel. So they're not going to join the Abraham Accord. That was another, again, far-fetched thought on your part. So, but again, no one's got a
The
crystal ball to
irony
know
of
exactly what's
freedom.
going to happen.
We
No
are
one
free of
speculate,
each other,
but,
yet
what
it
just
brings me
happened
no
today
happiness.
completely flies
We
in the
must
face of your
move
prediction.
forward.
It's not the beginning of a
Remain
negotiation.
in our
This was always the
tempest of
plan. They
blood
didn't start
poetry.
negotiating this plan. And if
Despite
you look
it
at where
all,
these
we
so-called
dance,
two-state deals
and
started,
they
go back to
die.
the Oslo Accords in '93. Where was it then? In '93, where they're
From
offering some
darkness we
cantons in
have
the West
come,
Bank,
and
Gaza,
in
and
darkness
not
we
even
shall
Arab East
stay.
Jerusalem, really, to where it is now.
Humans are not
It's gone
meant to
progressively
last
worse. So I
forever.
agree with you. Negotiations.
But this creed
It's not the start of
will.
negotiations. It's probably
The
towards
creed
the end
is
of
the
negotiations,
only
which
immortal
is to
thing
fully usurp
in the
all of what's remaining of Palestine into a one-state for Israel. And then they're going to turn their sights on Lebanon, unless Lebanon, Hezbollah step up and fight for their land. It's a fight for survival at this point, because they've made up their mind. They've told you what the plan is. They presented that Greater Israel map more than 2 years ago. Both Smotrich did, and so did Netanyahu. That's not vassalized Israel. That's a Greater Israel project.
home.
I still think they
You're
want to
free.
gear towards end of times, build the third temple, Messiah comes, wipes out 2/3 humanity. They still have those messianic prophecies they want to fulfill as well. That aside, again, I don't know what you're just. If you want to go judging on markets and oil price and whatever other market metric that'll satisfy your notion that this is all market driven, sure, go ahead. But you'll see that the ends justify the means with what they're trying to do, because they'll make more than what they're putting in once they're able to derive sales
take
from
you home.
the natural gas and oil that's within Gaza.
Let
There's a lot more than
nothing
what they're
grieve
afraid.
you beyond
And also-
measure.
they'll
your
build the
life
David
is
Ben
short
Gurion
and time
Canal,
will
which is
claim its
also
toll.
their objective to be able to
But
compete with the
I
Suez Canal, so they can
am no
bypass Egypt
longer
and screw
who
them
I
over as well.
was.
So that's fine.
I have
Egypt
renounced
will get
all
a cut of the
love
sales to
I
natural
once
gas for a better
had.
deal. So they'll, I mean, Sisi, you just have to easily paid off. He's another, Al Julani. So they've got all their stooges in place. There's a little bit of resistance left. We'll see how it unfolds.
So Tricks, what's your
Just some more breaking news.
renounced.
Just some more breaking news, and then I'll give it right back to you, Simon. Some more breaking news.
am
Iran
now the
will,
hidden one,
and this again
known
proves. I
as
don't want to say we're the only honest space on X, but we are. We literally gave you the news, and it's all end up being accurate. So let me just go to that one, which is this. Iran will be allowed energy producing nuclear program, and there will be easing of sanctions as part of the plan to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East, according to the Trump administration. So what that means is they're going to be allowed. Remember, first it was zero nuclear capability. Now they're going to allow the nuclear capability. Also, there'll be an easing of sanctions. This is the result of the complete destruction of Israel. There was many Zionists who claimed that nothing was happening in Israel. Everything's fine. Even many accounts on here, such as that 84 guy and the others, were like, oh, it's all fake. Nothing's happened to Israel. Actually, the opposite happened. Because the fact that Israel was getting destroyed, the fact that Israel was getting bombarded is actually the main reason that they end up being a peace. If Israel was smashing Iran, do you think they would have stopped? They didn't stop in Gaza. They don't stop if they're dominating. In reality, the opposite happened. That basically, because they got dominated, hence why we had peace and an agreement, because Iran's all about peace, and it actually in some aspects did benefit them as well. Even though I